don't know why this didn't start from the beginning. Can you guys hear it?
Yeah.
Glenn can't hear it? You can't hear the music?
Now I can hear you. No, the music, there was nothing.
Did you hear the music?
I heard the music. Yeah.
Oh, it was our ring music.
Yeah, your entrance music.
Yeah, our champions of the universe.
Yeah, I couldn't hear it.
Oh. All right, well, welcome to episode 7, everybody.
We're off to a hot start.
What a great start.
We got the little ticker going down the bottom. Yeah, so.
How was the weekend, boys?
Weekend was it was good. There were some interesting parts. The big negative, and I understand the negative of why we got there, but they had us fly out Friday night instead of Saturday morning. But once we got to Marquette, Michigan, and you walk through the gate, and literally you go to the airport, you leave, you get off the plane, you go out to the terminal, and then you have to like walk all the way down to baggage claim. Mm-hmm. No, here you walked off the plane into the terminal, and baggage claim was right there. There were literally 2 gates. Glenn, that's blurry.
Oh, you can't see it.
Blurry because you have a background.
Yeah, you can't see it.
Yeah, because of your background.
3 gates.
Yeah,
three gates.
3 gates. So literally, you walk through when we're leaving. You walk through security, and you're in the terminal, like you're at the gate. So I understood why, because there was literally 1 flight in and 1 flight out. So Saturday, if we would have missed that flight there, we would have never
missed the show.
But the setup was, what was it?
Phenomenal.
So it was MarquetteMania, but the company was what, UPW, whatever UPW.
Yeah, I believe so.
Unfortunately, I don't know what UPW stands for, but the setup was ridiculous. They had like the towers with the lights, with the spinning lights all around.
Crosses.
They had a giant screen in the back for like our Titantron was playing. The setup was unbelievable, and organization-wise was great. The only negative was they had no water in the locker room.
Oh,
how do you not have water in the locker room?
How was the turnout?
It was good. There was probably
actually pretty good.
800-900 people, I would say, close to 1,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Here's the funny part is the place that it was like an ice skating rink, and it sat right on Lake Superior, so it was freaking freezing. But it was so neat to see how big and how huge that lake is. It was cool. It was a hell of a setup. Yeah, it was first class all the way.
I've only ever been up that way to Michigan one time when I was still doing ring crew and security for TNA, but we didn't really get to explore, the city at all. But
we didn't really explore either. We pulled up and the guy's like, "Oh, you should see Lake Superior. It's right there." We're like, "Oh yeah, there's Lake Superior. That looks pretty big."
There it is.
You're like, that looks pretty big. But the guy that picked us up got lost, taking us to the hotel. So then he pulls in.
He had GPS on the car.
GPS on the car, and he still gets lost. So now he pulls us into a hospital. And Glenn's like, "Dude, what the fuck? You don't take a wrestler to a hospital." He goes, "Well, I'm just showing you where it is in case you need one tomorrow." We're like, "Dude, we're going to beat you up. We don't need to hear we might need a hospital tomorrow."
What the hell?
You fat fuck.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
So,
but from the time they picked us up to the time that they took us to the hotel, they had a coupon for breakfast on Saturday morning. It was like first class all the way. The promoter's name is Lloyd, that we got to meet and everything else. And it was just really, really, it was top notch. It was one of the top ones that we've done since, WWE. I would have to say.
I mean, it was the setup was great. The guys were right there in the, it wasn't one of those, we have to call the guy and wait for the van to pull up and stand outside and wait. They were all right there at baggage claim waiting for us. And the food, everything, like, okay, be here at be down in the lobby at 3:00 to leave. Like, it was very well organized. It was actually really good. It was one of the better indie shows we've done. And then besides the fact we almost sold out of t-shirts. Whoa.
Yeah. I mean, Jimmy Hart was there. Ken Anderson was there. We were there. Gangrel was there. Who else was there? The tag team from TNA. Homicide was there.
And the big, giant, jacked up dude.
Hernandez?
Yeah, his tag team partner.
Yeah.
Yep. And wait, somebody else was there too. Ricardo. Ricardo, they used to
Oh,
manage.
Rodriguez.
Yes,
Yes. Yeah, and it was cool because he did. They had him ring announce
he
the.
was awesome.
They had him ring announce. So the opening match was a ladder match. Who starts
They
with a ladder?
opened the show with it.
Yes, but the cool part was Rodriguez is in there doing the ring announcing. He's announcing everyone, and he's like, "And your fifth opponent." And everybody's like, "Fifth opponent," and he starts taking his clothes off. He had all his gear underneath.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that was a total surprise. He wasn't even supposed to be in the match. They just said, "Hey, do you have your gear with you?" And of course, him being the worker that he is, had all of his stuff. And I'll tell you what, I haven't seen a lot of his stuff. It was really good.
No, he's a good
He was
luchador.
very, very good in the ring. And then, of course, I was second match, and Chaz was my ring girl.
This is a funny story too.
Well, you guys work singles?
Well, I can't work.
I just did because he could work.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if you could, stand on the apron.
No, I'm still technically in a sling.
Yeah.
So
Oh, wow.
I'm in a sling for another 10 days, and then even 10. So for those of you that don't know that are watching, so I had surgery 4 weeks ago on my labrum bicep and my rotator cuff. So I'm still in the sling till next Thursday, and then it's 2 weeks after that before I can even start rehabbing my bicep. So I'm not even supposed to put any weight in my hand and do it. I can do a curl. I'm doing it right now. I just can't put any weight in it to do it. So I walked Glenn to the ring, and we did the gimmick with the intro. The only difference is I had it on my phone this time instead of the piece of paper. So Glenn's in there. The guy was actually a good worker. He was actually pretty good.
He really was.
He
really was.
The
match was just. It was good.
Fun. It was fun. It was a fun match. So, but he had big giant titties. He wasn't afraid to expose them. So no, we do. You know how we do our chop spot. Glenn chops, I chop. You can do it better. I can do. So Glenn chops him twice, and I'm like, I got to get in this. So I roll into the ring with my arm in a sling.
And I knew, Simon. I knew it was going to get him in the ring. I was going to find a way to do it because I told him before we got on the plane, I said, when was the last time you ever threw a left-handed chop? He was like, never. I went, well,
shame.
I knew.
So we're joking around about it, and I said, hey.
Bad influence.
I said, if I throw a left-handed chop, I go, I don't know where it's going. The guy might end up with a black eye. Like, who knows? So, when you throw the chop, you throw the overhand chop, you hit on the same side.
Yeah.
For some reason, when I got in the ring, I wanted to go the opposite side. So I threw my left-handed chop. I hit this guy right in the jaw.
Very close.
He
almost had a black eye.
And this was the noise. You just heard it was like just a thud. That was it. The whole crowd went, oh, and I went, hold on, it's my fucking left hand. And I nailed him right in the nipple. We say, ow, and I'm like, sorry, I know that burns, but I had to make sure I got
you. It was fun. We had a really good time. The crowd was the crowd was on fire. It was a great crowd. It's funny when we do these independents now, how they start like going, thank you, Headbanger, or thank you, Banger. And it was really, really nice because after the match, they just started chanting it and everything else. And it's touching to see it now after all the years that we've been, in the ring and stuff like that people are appreciating, because you don't really think about it. I never have.
So
until they do that. They get the goosebumps thinking about it.
We were actually getting out of the ring the other night, and they started a Headbanger chant again. So we kind of stopped, and we looked at each other. Fuck it, let's get back in the ring. So back in the ring, and I grabbed the microphone, and I legit was like, hey, we've been doing this a long time. We don't know how much longer we're going to be doing this, but, we appreciate this. Like, this means a lot to us. Like, literally, I have goosebumps right now from the ovation they gave us, even after we were done. So that it was really cool.
I mean, we talked about it last week, when I asked you guys, like, how, you guys are immortalized, like, look what you're doing. But then there's stuff like that. I get to think.
And you know what's funny?
What's that?
Because I remember you saying that when they were doing it, and I was like, this is exactly what they're talking about. Yes. It was touching. It really was.
But again, it goes back to we don't expect that. Like, I don't
No.
expect that kind of reaction. I'm like, literally, when they start a headbanger chant, they started a headbanger chant before the match even started. You're not getting paid by them. Don't put that up there.
I'm going to put product placement.
Yeah, only if you're getting paid for it. So, they before we even start the match, they started a headbanger chant, and it was like, okay, everyone, like, quiet down. We want to hear this. I'm like, come on, louder. Like, come on, I want to hear it. Like, it was. Yeah, it was.
But see, it's because you guys are humble about it, and you guys are one of the few people, especially from the time period that you guys came up in. You guys have never had like a scandal. You guys have never had any stories float around about being dicks to fans or being cancers in locker rooms, and that's why you get it.
That was our problem. We didn't have any scandals. That's why we didn't get a bigger push.
Oh well.
Yeah. Damn it.
That's a different day to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to wrestle on Saturday at Bruce Santee's last match in Seminole, Clearwater.
How was that?
Man, we pulled up and there was an outside show, and immediately Pete Cannon is furious. And we're like, man, what are we gonna do? Ron Nemi drew over 500 people, dude. It was crazy.
Nice.
Yeah, and I got to wrestle one of Frankie's students.
Yeah, so how was that? Wasn't that the guy who stole the King of Florida title?
Yes, and for only the second time since I've been wrestling, he cut a promo that actually offended me, where he called me old, beat down, decrepit, sorry excuse for a human body, and I lost my mind. Uncle Glenn, Uncle Chaz, I was like, wow, I've had enemies. I've had enemies who didn't run me down as bad as you.
Yeah, but that was just shoot promo. That was kind of true, no? You're run down, you're beat up.
You don't gotta.
He wasn't lying.
You don't gotta call attention to it.
There's no reason for you to be in the ring.
But I know what you're saying.
But
it's different. Anyway, so it's different. Yeah.
Does he still have the name King of Florida, or did you take it from him?
So I went over. I beat him.
So did you take the title from him?
He's not using it.
I mean, he technically he can't. We'll see what happens, but it's funny because he goes.
I got $100 that says he still uses it.
Well, yeah, I got 200 on that.
Well, then you need to show up at that show and shoot on him.
Yeah, with you guys.
I
brought my henchmen with me.
That's right. We'll be right there.
Glenn, do you know what I watched last week with the boys, with my twins, Ben and Dexter? I watched our one and only. So you guys and me and Frank had, 3 matches, right?
Yeah, something like that, 3 or 4.
But right after the show where you beat me with the books, you and I had a last man standing match.
Yes.
Oh my God. To this day, I don't think I've ever had a rougher match in 18 years in the business. And I remember leading over to Frankie and saying, I think Glenn's mad. I think Glenn's mad at me. And we get to the back. Mind you, I had 3 broken ribs from that match from the opening spot. Because you threw the chair, and I put my hand up, and the chair dipped and hit me sideways in the ribs. But
see, that's because you were, and put up your hands.
Yeah, that's you put your hands up.
That, if you would have just taken it, and not been
I have diabetes.
It would have been all right.
I'm diabetic.
So what's that got to do with the price of tea in China?
Chaz, speaking of tea, let's get a sponsor from these guys.
Sponsor from Snapple.
But yeah, the boys were like, wow, that was rough. And I told them, I got backstage and I was waiting. Like, I didn't know if Glenn was going to punch me. I didn't know if Chaz was going to punch me. And you guys came back and I was like, oh boy, here it goes. And Glenn's like, I'm proud of you, kid. That was a test. And I'm like, thanks. I love you. Yeah, good times.
Oh yeah,
I do remember that. Didn't you take me to the rope?
The top rope. That's how I won. I duct taped both your feet to the top rope so you couldn't stand up.
That's right. Yep.
As Frankie and Pete are propping me up because I couldn't stand up.
I do remember that. Yep.
The most impressive thing was, so the referee counts 10 and you're already untaped. I don't know how you got out of that so fast because I wrapped like 8 times around your boots.
Oh, I remember.
You're like an escape artist, like the Houdini of wrestling.
You probably took your boots off.
Yeah, we did everything.
I do remember that.
We did thumbtacks. We did chairs.
Everything.
It was nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did everything.
Yeah, no thanks. I don't want any parts of chairs and thumbtacks and tables or no.
Yeah, because Glenn, we get to the back and Glenn turns to you and Frankie and says, "Follow that." And at the same time, you both looked at each other and said, "No thanks."
We did.
No.
We did an atomic wrestling show, and it was like a street fight thing. And literally, Glenn and I think you were out there with Jason. You guys, they were hitting each other with fucking crutches and tables and signs and stuff like that. I grabbed the guy in the middle of the ring. He goes, I grab him in a headlock takeover, and he goes, "What are we doing?" I go, "Watching." Watching. They were doing all that shit.
Oh,
we
yeah.
just sat right there, and he goes, "All right, cool." I go, "I don't want to get hit." I go, "Do you want to get hit?" He goes, "No." I go, "Good, because I'm going to hit you so hard, I'm going to knock you out so you can't hit me back because I don't want to get hit with anything."
Smart.
Good story.
Yeah, good times, dude. I can't believe that was over 12 years ago, dude.
It's been a while.
Was that really 12 years ago? Wow.
It was at least 2011.
Yeah, time goes
Wow,
fast.
that's crazy.
Glenn, you didn't move down here until 2010.
Yeah, 2010.
Something like that, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So speaking of getting, what we just talked about, that match was intense. I thought Glenn was mad.
Getting stiff.
As you sent us a link about something that happened with the Undertaker and a story, and I feel like that's really poignant, like a good transition from that to this, because it's it's a big deal, and you have a Robert Gibson story that I need to hear.
Yeah, so I saw,
And that's why you're the host, Simon, because you just tied everything together in a nice, pretty little bow.
That's why they pay me the big bucks.
So I saw this clip. It was a clip of Undertaker with Stone Cold doing Steve's podcast. And Undertaker talked about his very first match he ever had was against Bruiser Brody. And he said, what's that?
Could you imagine that being your first match?
No.
I mean, mine was Adam Bomb, but Bruiser Brody would be a little bit worse. But but the difference between Adam Bomb and I was he was bigger than me, which ties back into Taker's story, because Taker said he stood in the ring and he looked at Bruiser Brody. He was like, "I'm bigger than this guy. I can take him. Like, he's not going to push me around." So he's in there like doing the whole thing. Like, he's basically not selling Bruiser Brody, like pushing around. And Brody's like, he takes Brody in an armbar. He takes him in a headlock. And Bruiser kept telling him, "Kid, relax. Kid, relax," which I understand because we get in there with new people and they grab an armbar. And you're like, "Whoa, slow down a little bit." Like, easy killer. So, and then I guess Taker like clocked him with something. And then he said it came. He goes, Bruiser gave him like the receipt from hell. Like just
he gave him the big boot.
The big boot. The big fuzzy boot is what he called it. Yes.
Yeah.
Big fuzzy boot to the head. So he was like, I kind of learned quickly, like, okay, yeah, I need to slow down, and I'm not that big as I think I am. So
because what Taker said is that they were in the ring and he grabbed an arm and he went to shoot Bruiser off and said clothesline, and Bruiser reversed him and said, "No, big boot." And the big boot came and he goes, "I got it. I need to keep my mouth shut."
Wow.
And Steve's like, "Your first match, you're in there calling spots with Bruiser Brody."
Right.
And then they just both started laughing and they were like, "Yeah, that's how it went."
Yeah, his first match, he's telling Bruiser Brody what he's going to do. Yeah, I'm glad you remembered that because I forgot that part. So we just lost
Where'd Simon go?
Hold on. Where is he?
We're back.
There he is.
Where'd you go?
I don't know. I just time warped for a second.
What did you see?
So there's I'm sure so many other guys have stories like that. So for me, I have one, but it was so when we started with Smoky Mountain, we started working Ricky and Robert, the Rock and Roll Express. So we're in there and we're doing the match, and I'm down, and Robert's kicking me, Ricky's kicking me, and I don't really feel it, so I'm not selling it. I mean, I was brought up and trained where, like, if you feel it, like, sell it. But if you don't feel it, don't sell it, because then it's going to look stupid. Both people look stupid for missing, and you look stupid for selling it. So whatever. We get in the back, and Ricky and Robert came up to me, and they said, "Listen, we're kicking you, but you're not selling it. Like, what's going on?" I'm like, "Well, I'm looking down, and if I can't feel it and I can't see you, how do I know, like, you're kicking me?" So I really didn't feel it. And they were like, "Oh," like, "All right, well, okay, that makes sense." And they just dropped it. They left it alone. I was like, all right, not thinking anything about it. The next night, we
Till the
get in the
next
ring
night.
with them. We go to lock up. I'm like this with Robert, and Robert goes, wham! Punch right in the nose. And I'm like, fuck. And he goes, did you feel that, kid? And I'm like, lesson learned, sir. Yep, I feel it. Got it. No problem at all.
Check,
Yeah.
please.
Yep. Robert punched me right in the face. And I was like, oh, got it. Lesson learned. Yeah.
It's so funny too because we saw them not that long ago, Chaz, if you remember, and it was right after Robert got his hip done, and we were talking about that story. He goes, "Yep, I remember that so well." He goes, "We went to lock up, and he just went bam,"
Yeah.
and I remember Chaz turned around and went, "What the hell? He punched me right in the fucking face."
Yeah.
Frankie and
well,
I got to wrestle them, and when we got to the building, Ricky and Robert ribbed me relentlessly because of the way I was dressed. You know, then I put my gear on, and it was even worse. My socks and the green, and they're like, "Oh my god." We go out there, and they're throwing me around like a beach ball, and I'm selling, and the kind of tempo of things changed. I accidentally got dropped on my head because Robert had me with the headlock, and Frankie came in for the leg scissors where he takes us both over. But
Right.
something happened. I think somebody hesitated, and I went to go, so I lawn darted on my head, and then like no sold it, but got up, did the match, went to the back and was like trembling. But the best part was Ricky and Robert come back, and Frankie's at the curtain, to shake their hands, and they walk right past Frank to find me, and they were like, "Kid, like we thought you were the one we were gonna have to worry about. You're amazing. Like your partner's the shits. Your partner is awful." And Frank is standing right behind them. And he turned around. He thinks they're joking. They're like, "Seriously, kid, the socks, the green, everything, man. Like, you're the kid. You're the shit. You're awful." And Frank is like throwing his gear in his bag. "Let's get the fuck out of here." He's so mad.
That's awesome. That kind of makes sense.
That's a great
Oh my
story.
God.
Kind of makes sense, but
Yeah, that was my favorite
So,
Frankie story. But yeah, but I mean, like, to your credit, real quick, Glenn, Bubba and Devon used to have what they call Callus class on Wednesdays with all of us
What was
advanced
it?
students. Callus class, where it was
Callus.
yeah, all of the advanced students on one side and Bubba and Devon tagging on the other side, and we got no offense. It was just them beating the tits off us, so that according to Bubba, if this happens on a show, you won't get shell shocked. You won't be a deer in the headlights. You'll know what it feels like. Yeah. So
can
we
you
learned
do more
that.
of his
So
voice,
I
please?
was
hold
brought
on.
up in wrestling.
Hold on, let him finish the story. We want to hear the Bubba
Go
story.
ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we had a guy from New York that came in and was teaching us when you take a tackle, you drop down, the guy hits the ropes. We were always taught you do the drop down towards the guy because you're trying to trip him. But this guy said, no, you drop down in place. You take the tackle where you take it, the guy hits the ropes, and you just pancake in place.
Who said that, Bubba?
No, this guy from New York.
Oh, okay.
So 2 weeks before, Brian Kendrick had come to the school, did a great seminar for us. At the end, asked if we could, if we had any questions. Nobody had any questions. So when Kendrick left, they made us run till we puked for not taking advantage of someone coming in from out of town and asking a question.
Well,
So when this guy from New York came in and asked, any questions, I looked around and I said, well, screw this. I'm not going to run. Like, yeah, hey, when you do the pancake, we were taught to drop down towards the person, but you're saying drop down in place. Like, what is the right way? And Bubba points to me and goes, "You did this to yourself, kid. Get in the ring." And I was like, oh boy. So I get in the ring. He goes, "Hit the ropes and give me a tackle." So I hit the ropes and I tackle Bubba, and Bubba goes, "Whoa, fuck me, kid. You can't bump for me." And I'm like, "What? I hit the ropes. Like, aren't you supposed to fall?" And he was like, "Do you want me to make you bump?" So of course I take the bump in place. And Bubba goes, "All right, I'm gonna hit the ropes. When I do, you drop down in place." I go, "Okay." He goes, "I'm hitting the ropes now," and takes 3 big lumbering steps to the ropes, leans on the rope, and when he comes back, he goes, "Pancake." So I drop down in place, and he lifts his foot up, and he stomps me right in the back of the head. And you could hear the crunch. It was like a water balloon full of ketchup. Boom! And there's just blood, spit, and ass falling out of my face. And he goes, "Get out of the ring." So I roll out of the ring and I'm standing there at the ringside trying to kayfabe it. My eyes are watering. My nose is bleeding. Everybody's like staring at me. So Bubba goes, so that's exactly why you don't. And he points, you okay, kid? I go, I'm good. That's why you don't drop down in place. And that was the lesson I learned. Don't ask Bubba questions.
So, yes, that was a very good lesson. That's old school, though. That's old school, too. I don't understand the pancake, so
yeah, because you're just
who does that?
And because it comes from the philosophy for us, like when you're taking a tackle, you want to be as close to the person as possible, because it's like you throw them off and you look up, you're like, oh shit, you take the bump. So you should be diving as close as possible to him to make him step over you, because if you take a bump in the middle of the ring and then just go like this, he's got 2 steps.
Yes.
Why going to jump
run
over
around you?
That's why Bubba's point. I mean, he didn't have to break your fucking face, but he could have came over and been like it doesn't make sense to take 2 steps and step over him. You want to take that first step and go.
Yeah.
So I mean, that makes sense, but the way he did it, maybe not so much. But I did get him back for you then one time we worked on, because I hit him with the ring bell and I fucking clocked him, and the whole thing was like ding dong in my hand.
So Chaz has another story about breaking somebody's nose. Somebody wanted to learn how to take a drop kick. So Chaz taught this person who was a female how to take a drop kick and put her nose from here all the way over here.
Yes and no. Yes and no.
Yes.
Part of the story was it was down at the school. It was a female student, and what started it was I had lifted her up in a tombstone. I had her in a tombstone, and literally she was like pulling her head out like this, pulling her head out. Like if you're pulling your head out to look, and I go down, that's not
it.
good.
No.
So I took her head and pushed it. And I'm like, you got to keep your head down. She took it as me jamming her head into my crotch.
Oh.
Which actually wasn't true. So I drop her, and she punches me right in the balls. She pulled at Eric Smalls and hit me in the balls, is what she did. So I stood there and I'm like, so you want to learn how to take a drop kick? She's like, yeah. I fucking drop kicked her right square in the face. Literally, like Glenn said, her all went. And I'm like,
she knows she's all the way over here.
Put your hand up. I'm like, and don't ever punch me in the ball. She goes, well, you were pushing my head into your crotch. I'm like, I said, if I wanted your head in my crotch, we wouldn't have done it in the middle of the ring with people around. I said, I'd hang out with you later on. I said, this wasn't the case. This was me trying to protect you, because if you're pulling your head out and I drop, you're going to be paralyzed.
Yes.
Yeah. So, listen.
Wow. When was this?
But when I got done training with Chaz and stuff like that, and we were doing tag matches together as the Spiders.
This had to be
we were still going down. It was probably right before we went to Memphis.
No, it was after that. We came back. No, we came back.
Here's the funny thing.
94, 95.
Is we would teach, the sunset flip drill. You shoot the guy off, you give him the sunset flip, but in the process of doing the flip, you pulled out your pants and then you put your ass. Yeah. So I mean, she was through that as well. So she probably thought, because Chaz was doing that with her head, that it was another ha-ha joke moment and stuff like that, not that he was trying to protect her.
But I don't understand. Like, if you've even watched
still funny as shit.
Yes. If you watch wrestling, though, you know what the tombstone looks like. How people don't. It's like the guys that tuck their chin the wrong way when they take the Styles Clash from AJ.
Yes.
Like, you're setting yourself up for disaster.
Right.
Which
like AJ's Clash looks like the easiest thing to take, unless you do the wrong thing. And I'm sure he goes over it. Yes. Well in the back.
Well, the way they talk through matches now, I'm sure he went over it 1,000 times.
Right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'm sure he made sure that they were able to do it correctly. So I don't understand why people don't listen.
It just seems so logical, but also if the guy's explaining it. So not this match on Saturday, last Saturday, I told the guy I was wrestling one of the school here called House of Champions, and I was wrestling one of their students. It was like his 8th match. And he goes, what's your finish, Simon? I said, it's a lariat. It's just a big lariat. And he kind of haha, like, really? Like, you don't have big arms? I said, that's the joke. Because when I hit it, I'm coming with all of my body weight. So when you do it, I said, don't tuck your chin. I said, stick your chest out and turn your face towards me. So when my arm comes, I'm not clocking. Sure enough, he ducked his face and turned away from me, and I busted him right in the mush with it. And as I'm pinning him, I'm like, what happened? He goes, I don't know. We're supposed to tuck our chin. I said, yeah, for the bump.
Yeah, not for the punch.
Yeah, not for when I'm swinging my arm at you.
We have a stage dive story that's very similar to that.
See,
go ahead, Chaz.
I love you guys. I love you guys. I am so thankful that I never had to take the stage dive because I was so freaked out, dude.
It's not hard though. It's simple. I mean, it's not even a full power bomb. I bring you up halfway and then I bring you down and it's controlled. As long as you keep your arm down and you look away, you're perfectly fine. So what happened was it's Alex. What's Alex's last name?
Chamberlain.
Alex Chamberlain.
Oh,
yes.
I know Alex.
Simon, no lie, he's taken it 20, 25, 30 times. Minimum.
At least. Yeah.
So he knows how to take it. So there's one time we're at a show and I have a picture of it. And I lift him up and you can see clear as day in the picture because we tell everybody, look away. If you look up to look at Glenn, it's going to raise your body and his foot's going to come across and break your nose. Because that's what we learned on trying it on D-Lo for so many times down at the So
yeah.
It's plain as day in the picture. Alex is like this, but he's like this. He goes, and and Glenn's foot came across and blood all over. And we hit him. We looked at him. I looked right at him in the ring and we go, what were you thinking? You know not to lift your head. He goes, just one time I wanted to watch it. Literally. And we were like, he's like, it's my fault. He goes, I knew not to do it. He goes, time.
You just wanted to see what it looked like.
Around.
Yeah.
No way, dude.
So funny. And I want to put this out here for everybody. I want somebody to dispute the fact that is not the single best tag team finisher in the business ever. Because the timing on that needs to be perfect. It's not hey, I'm going to lift you up, or I'm going to grab your head, or it's not, hey, get on my shoulders and I'm going to clothesline you. It's a tag team finisher where both people have to be synchronized, which is tag team wrestling, together. I don't care what we've done in the business or anything else. There's not a single better finisher.
And it's the only tag team finisher that has not been bastardized. Everyone does the heart attack. Everyone does the 3D. Even Brian Christopher and Scott Taylor's Vegematic. Everyone does the Vegematic crushed demolitions. I've never seen another team ever use the stage dive ever.
And if you're ever in a match with us and you're about to take the stage dive and you see me climb to the top rope, you know you fucked up.
You fucked up.
I've done it. When we started doing it, the idea was for Glenn to do the power bomb and me do the leg drop because he was bigger than me. So it made sense for him to do the power bomb and me come off the top. I just couldn't do a leg drop. I just couldn't. The timing I just couldn't do it. So Glenn ended up doing a leg drop. So there was a couple of times. One time was, here's another good story. We're sitting in the locker room and it was TV and this kid comes up and he's like, hey, he goes, so we're working tonight. I'm like, all right, cool. And he goes, so here's what I want to do. And he starts laying out the match of what he wanted to do. So literally I'm getting dressed and I'm getting dressed and I look up and I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay. Yeah. Okay. That's all I kept saying was okay. And he gets up and he walks out. It was dead silence in the locker room. And all you heard was, damn. That's all you heard. And I looked over at Ron and Bradshaw sitting right next to him. And Bradshaw goes, boys, I think we got a curtain sellout tonight. I just went right then and there. I knew what I had to do. I got in the ring. He tried doing what he did, and I just went bam.
Oh.
TV. He went to do something else. I'm like bam. Every time I just kept fucking bipping him. And then I got in the ring, and Glenn got in and grabs him in an armbar and lets him tag out because I was just bipping the shit out of him. So now it's time to go home, and Glenn's going to the top. I go, no, sir. I go, I'm going to the top. Glenn looks at it.
No.
Glenn fucking TV looks at it. He goes, oh man, he goes, you fucked up. I climb to the top rope and I'm standing there and I point to Glenn and I jump. I kid you not, where my hand, where your thigh and your butt cheek meet, that little area right there, sat right on his face.
Oh,
right on his face. And I covered him. 1, 2, 3. We got to the back and we walked through, and all the boys were just standing there going like this. The kid, I kid you not, the kid came over. He shook my hand. He said, "Thank you. Lesson learned." He grabbed his bag and walked out of the locker room.
Wow.
It's a true story.
Yeah.
Wow.
As soon as I heard Ron go, damn, I was like, oh, I got to beat this kid up now.
Now you got to. Now you have to.
Had to. And this was, again, it was a TV taping. This match was on TV. It was like on Shotgun or something.
Glenn, do you have any residual effects from doing this, the leg drop from the top rope for so long?
Yes.
He ain't got no feeling in his butthole.
It's affected my, what did he say?
You have no feeling in your butthole.
That's right. I have no feeling in my backside. But yeah, I mean, my back bothers me, but not as much as you would think. Like they wanted me to do the leg drop on Saturday night when we were up in Michigan, and I was just like, I don't know if I could do a leg drop with a guy just laying there, because I'm so used to doing it together that it would throw off all the timing. Because when we went to out to do the motion cap for 2K24, which we will be out in June 26th.
June 26th.
So we'll be able to be downloaded June 26th on WWE 2K.
Wait, but that's actually you guys? That's actually you guys?
Yeah. We actually did. We did all the motion stuff for our guys on the video game. From the ring entrance to the moves and stuff like that. So in the game, you're going to be able to do the stage dive, which is really, really cool. As you can see down there.
God damn it, I forgot the 2.
So they put a big giant like padding in the ring, and they were like, just go up to the rope and drop a leg. And I'm going, I looked at Chaz, I went, this is going to be difficult to do, because I'm so used to, timing it where I'm coming down and we're all coming down together. So it was awkward. And I just said, nah, I don't think I'm going to do that tonight. And the ring was an old WCW ring. The top rope was like down to here. And it was weird.
The bottom rope to the apron was like this big.
It was like that far.
Yeah. I got in the ring and I looked down and I'm like, yeah. And how that guy rolled through the bottom rope, I'll never know, because I barely fit.
And he went through really fast too. It was crazy. Yeah,
that must have been awkward. Are those WCW rings are 20s, right?
It was a 20.
Yeah, it was 20 by 20.
Oh,
yeah, I didn't do much running.
That's one of my biggest pet peeves is the inconsistency on the indies and 16s and 18s. I wrestled in a 12-foot one time, which I was like, what's the point in even having a ring? It's 12 feet. We barely fit in here.
So being the great host you are with pet peeves, that brings us to Glenn's pet peeve of the week.
Our new segment.
I will have a pet peeve every week, because I am now the grouchy old man that everybody sees and that we all used to laugh at.
You're killing off my intro. So that's what I was going to say. All weekend, Glenn was like bitching about this. He was bitching about that. The guy wasn't driving fast enough. The guy didn't know how to go through the circle. So Glenn's like telling everybody, Glenn's new thing now is, as he gets older and grouchier and more sensitive, is telling me what you should do. That's just the point he's at. You should be doing, like, we're driving and he will go, oh, there's a parking spot. Park right here. I'm like, well, I don't want to fucking park right here. I want to park over here. That's closer to the door. And he's like, well, that's a good spot right here. You should just park right here. Why the fuck do I got to park right there? That's where we're at. So we're now going to do this every week. Glenn's pet peeve of the week, and then Simon and I can discuss it. Proceed.
So I'm going to start off, because I thought about this since I was told about this new segment. I thought about this, and this is one that I've had. I even know it's Chaz's, one of his biggest pet peeves as well. So I'm going to start off little and then, gradually build up. So one of my biggest ones, my second daughter used to do this all the time and chew with her mouth open. And It would
Well,
drive
that's
me
because you hear,
crazy.
not only do you see the food, you hear the,
Oh,
you get
Yeah,
the
I
noise.
can't stand that. I'm like, just shut your mouth. Yeah, it's one of my biggest pet peeves. And I know it's Chaz's because it's either that or somebody go while they're eating, and stuff like that. I've seen him give up his food. I've seen him give up his food because Ian Rotten
I was just
did
going to
that
tell
when
that story.
they were living with us. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what made me think of this pet peeve because we both have this together.
So Tyler, if someone's chewing with their mouth open and with that noise, Tyler, my son, will grab his food and get up and leave the table. He just won't sit there.
This drives me nuts.
We were living with Axel and Ian, the Rottens, in Memphis, or they were living with us. And my big thing was like, if you blow your nose or anything that has to do with nasal discharge, I want to throw up. So literally, I sat there and just cooked food. I was getting ready to eat, and Ian was the fucking laziest turd. Axel was amazing. Love Axel to death. Well, always Ian's just a fucking turd. So I'm literally sitting there and getting ready to eat, and he's like, and I was like, I literally had the food, and I just went like this. I went, here you go. And he's like, thanks.
Oh no!
And he literally said, thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
He would do that because he knew it was Chaz's thing, so he wouldn't have to cook food. He did it on more than one occasion, and then me and Chaz were just like, screw it, we'll go out.
Yeah.
That
or
is
I would
evil
go outside
genius.
to eat.
That is evil genius.
What's that?
That's evil genius level stuff.
It's just
Yes, it is.
up. It's fucked up because he's living in our place.
Yeah. And our place was Melrose Place.
Melrose.
That's what it was called, Melrose Place. It had bars on the window and everything else. It was a one-bedroom apartment, fully furnished, everything.
Washer, dryer,
$250 a month.
Utilities included, $250 a month. It was a one-bedroom, one bathroom. It had a pull-out couch, so we would switch every other day. Someone slept in the bedroom, someone slept on the pull-out couch. What we did, we went to Home Depot and we bought a big piece of plywood to put underneath the pull-out couch so the couch wouldn't sink through the springs.
Oh,
so it was washer and dryer. It was everything. And we had a little. We went to a pawn shop. Remember, we bought a little TV. We got the little rabbit ears for it, and then we went because it was called Melrose Place. We had bars on the windows. We heard gunshots at night, but we felt safe there. And then we bought the little plastic blue pools, and we sat outside, and we sat out there like we were in Melrose Place because Melrose Place was the big show then. We sat there in the pool and sunbathed.
What year was this?
94.
God.
Wow.
94, yeah.
It was April, May, June of 94.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
But that's when we used to drive down, Interstate 40, and we'd have water balloons, and we'd try to throw it in the other people's cars and shit like that.
Different podcast.
There's just so much stuff. If there was like any kind of communication, like a cell phone back then, we would have been arrested.
Yeah,
100%.
Very glad we didn't have these back then.
Yeah. I've heard very few of the incriminating tales that shall remain. Maybe when we get a Patreon, people can pay for bonus content. We'll tell some of them on there.
I don't know. I don't know about the statute of limitations on some of the stuff we've done. So, hey, we haven't given the question to our answer from last week yet.
All right. So last week for our Headbangers variety show cliffhanger question, I asked the boys to tell me their least favorite team they were ever in the ring with, their least favorite opponents that they enjoyed below anyone else. And these two fucks said me and Frankie.
Well, no, we said besides you and Frankie, right?
Yeah,
right.
To be fair, besides me and Frankie.
But listen, clearly Ricky and Robert agree with us about at least half of your tag team.
I'm a gem. I'm a professional. I am an unathletic battering ram, so I'm good. But you guys gave the same answer, which really surprised me because again, I don't know shit about fuck when it comes to being in the Fed, but I'd always enjoyed these guys' work. I'd always seen them pop up, ECW and WWE, and thought, man, these guys don't get their due. But maybe you guys are about to shed some light as to why these guys didn't have a run.
It's simple. So they were.
So let's give them the answer. Let's give them your answer.
So my answer is Doug and Phil.
So Doug Furnace and Phil
LaFon. So we both have the same answer, and then I'll let Glenn tell his other answer he brought up. So they were great in Japan. They were great Japan workers. They're great guys. They weren't WWE, WWF material back then. Back then, it was characters. It was charisma. We're in the ring with, like, for instance, I'm in the ring with Road Dogg. I'm going to get in front of him. I'm going to do my stupid dance. And then he does his stupid hip gyrating thing back. There's something back. I get in the ring with Phineas. We used to do this spot every single night. And how it pops, I don't know. But Phineas would spit in the air. He'd catch it in his hand and wipe it through his hair. The place would boo. I'd spit a giant loogie in the air, catch it in my mouth, and swallow it, and the place would pop. They would cheer.
I told you guys he swallowed.
There's don't be jealous. So there's personality there. So there's charisma, there's personality. I would get in the ring with them and I would do the dance. We would do something and they would just stand there.
Oh.
So there was it was hard to work because all they wanted to do was moves. And again, I guess in Japan, because I've never been there, that's what they go for. It's just, you do a move and they clap. You do a move and they clap. It's different over here. So they just didn't fit into the style, I guess, of what we were doing, of the fit in the style of the United States, of having a personality and selling more it was more about the character and the charisma than it was the actual moves.
So these guys were more about the work rate.
That's why it was tough to work with them, because you couldn't pull anything out of them personality-wise to feed back on other than just going move for move for move for move. And that was boring to us.
Yeah, so they got the sports part, but not the entertainment part, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. They were over. They were over in Japan for so long. I mean, my reason's the same way. There was just they were so good.
Too with you, Glenn?
But we're used to that. I mean, they were snug, but I mean, we're snug. So I mean, they were over in Japan so long and everything else, and they were so highly respected. In the wrestling business, they still are to this day. They're, I would think of them, if you talked about tag teams, top 25, top 20, of tag teams, but their style didn't transfer over to the WWF style at that time, where, the crowd got behind you and stuff like that. You couldn't tell if they were, a babyface or a heel. They came in very highly, on the radar for Vince and everything else. They were supposed to get a title run. They were supposed to beat Owen and Davey for the tag belts, and they just weren't. Nobody was, because of their style, nobody was into them. So it was just like they were very, even during, like, you get heat on them, they have the straight face. They were very robotic, kind of, sort of, in a way.
They were
but they were They were so good. Yes. Everybody would consider them very, very boring in the States back then. But I guarantee you, if they were now, they'd be, oh my God, they'd be so over right now, because their style now is today's style. And they were so good, like, in the ring with what they did. It just didn't transfer over to the WWF style back then in the Attitude Era.
Yeah, that's so. Wow, you know what? Even thinking back now, liking them, as a younger person, yeah, there was no there was no charisma. Their stuff was clean, and they did moves no one else was doing. But that harkens back to me. One of the best pieces of advice or input I've ever gotten was from, I call him my dad, Father James Mitchell, the Sinister Minister. And he told me, God, before I started training, he said, Simon, you can tell a person has the potential to be very successful in the wrestling business if they look like they would make really cool looking action figures. And as we can see by the look of Chaz's background, you know, and the new upcoming WWE Mattel Elite action figures of the Headbangers that are coming out. Is that Cardona?
Matt Cardona.
Yeah, it's Zack Ryder.
There he is.
He sits right here.
But I mean, look at you guys.
Deathmatch King.
With a broken pec.
You know, I know I'm partial and I'm biased to you guys, but I feel like if you brought a kid into a WWE or just a wrestling store who was not a wrestling fan, I feel like Headbangers action figures, you know, and like I said, the new upcoming WWE Elite Mattel ones coming out would be two of the figures he'd pick off the shelf because they look entertaining. And then the video game downloadable content. WWE 2K24, bro. When I tell you this, and the boys, Ben and Dexter, watch this. So I'm gonna pull them. I'm gonna give them a shout out. Ben and Dexter are so freaking excited to play as you guys. It's not even funny.
So are we.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, we should. We should try to get together and stream the first match you guys play as yourselves in the game. I'll come over with my camera. I'll drive up there.
Well, can't you do that on Twitch or something? Isn't there a way to do that?
I'm not that technologically sound.
Neither am I. I'll have to ask. Tyler's coming home this week. I'll ask him. He'll know how to do that shit.
And you're not very directionally sound either because you would be coming down here. Dipshit.
Okay.
Jesus
pal.
Christ. Come on.
It's a
All right.
figure of speed. Oh, boy.
All right. We're running out of time here, Simon.
All right.
Jeez.
We're running out of time. We're running out of time. We didn't get to really any subjects we wanted to talk about except.
No, we got some good stuff. We got the Undertaker story.
Oh, yeah. I'm just saying we didn't get to it.
All right. So the last thing before you give me your answer for the question, do you guys remember what the question was? Chaz, you said you didn't have an answer yet.
Oh no, I have one.
Okay. So we're talking about over, not under, right?
Right, over.
Okay.
My answer is the Headhunters.
Oh.
That's my answer.
Oh, Glenn?
We got one even better. The Pit Bulls from South Jersey ECW.
For over and not.
So hold on. Are we talking?
We'll explain next episode.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, if your question, I'm not going to give it away, but if your question is related to when we were in WWF, that's a correct answer.
Oh,
Or are you talking just all time? Because if you're talking all time, that's pretty fucking endless. I mean, there's a lot of people that.
Yeah, I mean, you and I did the who do you think? Well, I don't care. I don't want to discuss it because it'll give it away. Let's talk about the King of the Ring before we close things out for episode 7. The King of the Ring. Chaz, Glenn, Gunther, Dragunov, and Jey Uso have advanced to the second round. On SmackDown, AJ Styles, Randy Orton, Carmelo Hayes, Baron Corbin, LA Knight, Escobar, Lashley, and Tama Tonga are all there. Who are your picks to win the whole thing right now? Glenn, go.
Jey Uso.
Jey Uso's your pick to win the King of the Ring. Are you nuts? Did you know? Oh, you weren't here when we talked about his WrestleMania match.
Yes, I was. Yes, I know. He's over.
So
yes.
I'm torn between two people.
Glenn, we got to talk about this.
So, well, hold on. Before you want to talk to him about it, you might want to hear my answer.
I do want to hear yours. Yes.
I'm torn between two people. I'm torn between Jey Uso and I'm torn between Gunther.
Those are your picks?
Those are my two picks.
That's like saying I'm torn on dinner. Do I want to eat a bag of rocks or filet mignon?
Yeah, but you got Gunther coming off the longest reign ever for the Intercontinental, which I think is hysterical. I think it's hysterical that it's 666 days.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, and I just think that takes him to another level, especially if he wins. He'll be the most obnoxious King of the Ring. Because if you really think about King of the Ring, it used to stick. Although you had King Harley Race always coming out with the thing. But now when they win it, it's like,
King
no,
Booker.
they put right.
Yes.
But it's been a long time since they've done that. Like, Billy won it and then never did anything with it. Like Xavier Woods won it last year. I didn't even know that until I saw Kofi Kingston's interview last night.
Yeah.
I didn't know Xavier Woods. They don't keep it going. I think Gunther would use that, continue to use that. Like, I'm the longest reigning champion, and now look, I'm king. Jey Uso, if you want to know why, he's just getting for some odd fucking reason, just getting shoved down everyone's throat. So the Cleveland Cavaliers basketball game the other night, they had a guy standing there because they were going to be in Cleveland. WWE was coming to Cleveland. The guy was standing there trying to get the whole crowd to go yeet, 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 but it was the only guy doing it. No one else in the crowd was doing it. They were all holding up their phones for like a light. But they're jamming Jey Uso down everyone's throat for some reason. That's why I think it could be him.
Okay, so you're thinking both creatively what you want and business-wise, logically what you think they're gonna do.
Yes.
Okay, Glenn, do you have a
100%? I mean, that's why I said Jay, just because he's so over. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw anything that they just did in what was it, France, with what was it, Backlash? Was that what the pay-per-view just was?
Yeah, him and Damian Priest, right?
Yeah, but I mean, he was over. I mean, they said that whole crowd was just going nuts for him and was eating all over the place and everything.
But part of it could be we were so over too, we could lose every night and it didn't matter.
True.
So that's why I'm thinking more Gunther than Jay. But I think it's one of those two. But I think storyline-wise, Gunther can use it more to be more annoying.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that part. And all the other guys, I guess, on the SmackDown side, Randy Orton, he doesn't need it. AJ Styles, he doesn't need it. All the other guys, Rey Mysterio, he doesn't need it. They don't need that to get over. They're already, so over that they don't need this to elevate them higher.
Yeah, there's no one on that side that I can see needs it. You're right. No. Maybe Tama Tonga, since he's brand new.
Maybe.
Too new.
But I agree with my pick is it has to be Gunther, man. Not only for the character, but to legitimize them. Like, you just took the 666-day reign. Do you guys remember? Were you watching the product at all when William Regal won the King of the Ring in 2008?
No.
I remember seeing him doing, coming out with everything. Yes.
Yeah, his coronation was awesome. He beat the crap out of Ken Anderson, and then he failed a wellness test and got suspended a few months later. So the whole push and everything went. I feel like Gunther can get the push that William Regal, like a European, because we associate European people as being snobs and, British aristocracy and stuff. So I don't know. I think maybe I'm biased. That's my pick. I am so flabbergasted you both said Jey Uso, but I love the fact you both gave the same answer for the tag team you least enjoyed being in the ring with, and you both gave the same answer for King of the Ring. If that's not tag team thinking, I don't know what is.
And it's funny because before we didn't talk about it, and King of the Ring we didn't talk about either. So it's not like we didn't talk about it either. So no.
Synchronized, but we will fine tune the question for next week. We'll give the answers at the end of episode 8. Stick around for the social medias, guys. Follow the Headbangers on all of the platforms. You can follow me, Emerald_Emperor. June 26th, the Headbangers invade WWE 2K24. Get it on PlayStation, get it on Xbox, get it wherever you play your favorite video games. And stay tuned to your local toy shops for the get the t-shirts at Hot Topic. And don't forget the WWE Mattel line, first time ever in the line. The Headbangers are coming to stores, guys. This is episode 7. I'm Simon Says. He is Mosh. He is Thrasher. Glenn and Chaz. We are the Headbangers and the adopted Headbanger.
He said we are the Headbangers, and now he's adopted.
You called me the unofficial third Headbanger.
All right. Peace out.
You can't revoke it. Thanks for listening, guys. Check it out. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe.